Good morning, Dharma.
Good morning, Atma.
Let's talk about the Light Body Healing Program.
Yeah, people want to know more about it, so let's talk about it today.
Yeah, so could you tell us more about yourself and where you picked up all these healing skills and modalities throughout your life journey?
Okay, so before we even talk about the program, let's say what qualifies us to have this program and teach it. And so I had clinical training as a chiropractor, as people usually know, and physical therapy and so on. All that scientific side we had. But what people don't usually know is that I delved deeply into native traditions of healing. I was very interested in how the body heals, what's the relationship between energy, the mind, the spirit, and the body. And native traditions seem to hold some understanding of it that Western sciences didn't have yet. So I ended up studying with a Cherokee old man named Thundercloud, who was a great healer, and he adopted me as his grandson. And I studied with grandmother Kitty Hawk, who is a lineage holder from the lineage of John Fire Lame Deer, from Lame Deer, Seeker of Visions, that famous book. And she was fantastic Lakota Sioux elder who had really great powers of understanding and healing, so I studied with her too. And then as I found out more and more about the shamanic world, I found out about South America and the Amazon. So I went down there and found an ayahuasquero and became an ayahuasquero by studying with him. That's someone who can lead ayahuasca ceremonies and so forth. That was back in the 80s, a long time ago actually. And from then I started to branch out even more, and through a series of serendipitous events, I got in touch with my Hawaiian teacher, my kahuna, and I studied very intensively with him for many years, and that really put together so much for me. And actually, I graduated from his training and so forth, and even went deeper into the Hawaiian methods of healing and so forth after I finished with him as well. And then eventually, I made it around to I wonder what white people have. What do white people have? Do they have any kind of native healing? Because I knew that my great-grandmother was a witch, and she was a very famous healer witch in Pennsylvania, straight over from Germany. And she healed all kinds of people from things. And when she couldn't handle things, she called in another healer who was even bigger, who handled like the whole state of Pennsylvania. And my mother tells me stories that she was so scared when this other healer would come to the house, because he had a big black hat and a big black cape, and he would come in and he'd look very serious, but whoever was sick got healed. So I thought, okay, what do white people have? And actually two of my teachers, my Hawaiian and my Cherokee grandfather who adopted me, they gave me blessings to go out and figure that out and find out what white people have. Opportunity came up to go to Ukraine and study in Ukraine. And we went all through the mountains, the Carpathian Mountains, the Karpata, and studied with Ukrainian shamans who had never even seen people outside of Ukraine. And that was a quite amazing experience, and that was very formative. That was followed by going to Brittany in France and seeking out the Celtic Druids that are still there, that train in secrecy and so forth, and have tremendous passed down oral lore and so on. I ended up not actually training with them. I met them. I met the leader and his wife, consort, but they were like, I don't think this is for you. And it was a good move. But she prophesied that I would meet somebody who would be a great teacher for me in this Caucasian shamanism thing soon. And I said, okay. So I flew all the way back to Australia, went into a magazine shop the next morning, flipped through a magazine and saw this guy, Ivar Hafschold, who represented Norse shamanism, Norse spirituality in general. I called him up, and within a week I was at his house. So, I learned this incredible spectrum of Norse healing practices, part of a greater system called Stav, which has martial arts and dietetics and lifestyle and principle, code, ethics, meditations, and so on, but also has a large branch of healing. So that's quite a menu of different types of healing. It didn't happen quickly. I mean, I was in touch with Thundercloud from the time I was a teenager, and this kind of training, I was still searching this stuff out through my, late 30s. So it was a good 20-year run of studying all this kind of different things with different people. And I gained the authority to be able to heal in these ways. It's not like I did it as a dilettante. I really went into it. And so I thought, okay, it was for myself though, because I ran a clinic and healing practice. I never taught anybody these healing methodologies to be a healer. But now that's changed. I want to pass it on before I pass away, light body healing, while my body's still good, my mind is still good, and I can teach it for a few years. And that's the basis of why I want to do the Light Body Healing program. But it's also combined with another 50% of the program or more of the tantric healing, which is Siddha medicine, which is like tantric Ayurveda, the use of gods and goddesses for healing, getting their healing power to do the healing, soul retrieval, ransoming ceremonies, all these different ways of using the 5 elements that we would do in shamanism, we also do in Tantra for healing. So all of that healing practice, the stuff I did in Bali is kind of shamanic and tantric together. So that inspired me to then share the tantric ways of healing as well. So even sexuality, people can be taught how to use their sexuality and their sexual energy for healing and so on. So this brings in the whole tantric yoga spectrum of healing as well. And together, that's what makes up the Light Body Healing program, along with a lot of clinical experience. I started in clinics already when I was 18. Informally, I'd been working on my family for years before that as a teenager with diet, nutrition, counseling, and stuff like that. And then when I get into college, I was working right away in a psychiatric hospital as a counselor. That's a very important kind of healing. I don't want to leave that out, right? And then moved into my clinic internships in chiropractic, physical therapy, spinal biophysics. I did one in naturopathy for a very short time with a very famous naturopath who was like the lead guy in America for naturopathy a long time ago. So there's a clinical side to this as well, where I was actually applying the Western and the Eastern methods together at the same time. And I studied Ayurveda formally. That's a big part of my background as well. I studied Ayurveda formally with Dr. Vasant Lad at the Ayurvedic Institute. I was teaching at the Institute, teaching tantric philosophy as well. I did clinical internships at his clinic in his farm out in the countryside where I was seeing patients, and at his clinic in the city as well, the city of Pune. And then studied with Dr. Ravi, who most of my students know this, fantastically knowledgeable Ayurveda doctor from a Kerala family system that's come down from thousands of years. So the Ayurveda is a big part of it, tantric Ayurveda, Siddha medicine. I also did quite a bit of Chinatown clinic internship in Chinese medicine for healing pain and injuries. And I did a little formal Chinese medicine study in a school and also as an apprentice to somebody to get my license in California, though I never finished the second year of that apprenticeship to do that. So that's the more of a fully rounded tour through my education as a person who likes to learn about health and healing, yeah.
Thank you.